are sympathetic to the idea that there is this third category of obligation, the obligations of solidarity or membership. How many are sympathetic to that idea? And how many are critical of that idea? How many think all obligations can be accounted for in the first two ways? All right, let's hear from the critics of the communitarian idea first. Yes.
My biggest concern with the idea of having obligations because you're a member of something or because of solidarity is that it seems that if you accept those obligations as being sort of morally binding, then there's a greater occurrence of overlapping obligations, a greater occurrence of good versus good. And I don't know if this sort of framework allows us to choose between them.
Good. And what's your name?
Patrick.
So you worry that if we recognize obligations of membership or solidarity, since we inhabit different communities, their claims might conflict. And what would we do if we have competing obligations? Yes.
Well, one solution is that we could view ourselves as ultimately members of the human community, and that then within that we have all these smaller spheres of that, I am an American or I am a student at Harvard. And so the most important community to be obligated to is the community of human beings, and then from there you can sort of evaluate which other ones are most important to you.
So the most and what's your name?
Nicola?
So Nicola, you say the most universal community we inhabit, the community of humankind, always takes precedence.
Yes.
Patrick, are you satisfied?
No.
Why not?
It seems rather arbitrary that we should choose the universal obligation over the more specific obligation. I might also say that I should be obligated first to the most specific of my obligations. For instance, take my family as a small unit of solidarity. Perhaps I should be first obligated to that unit, and then perhaps to the unit of my town, and then my country, and then the human race.
Good, thank you. I want to hear from another critic of the communitarian view. We have the objection, well, what if goods collide? Who objects to the whole idea of it? Who sees patriotism as just a kind of prejudice that ideally we should overcome? Yes.
Patriotism reflects a community membership. That's a given. I think the problem is that whereas some memberships are natural narratives, the narrative of citizenship is a constructed one, and I think a false one. Because as the river is just a historical accident, it makes no sense that because the lottery of birth threw me into the United States as opposed to Mexico, that that's the membership that I should be a part of.
Good. And what's your name?
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth. Who has a reply? Yes.